Darwin Nunez. It was a typical Liverpool transfer. It got said this morning, and by the end of the day, it pretty much looked like it's done. You love to see how our club operates, don't you? And as Jay said, getting him over United is always that extra sweetness, isn't it?
Yeah, it is good to get one over in United. I think Champions League football is a big factor as well, which they haven't got again. But I'm excited by it, to be honest with you. There's only been a few players that came to Anfield and you've took notice of really and been like, he's special in. But one of them was Minamino. So I'm just not going to hope too much. But with the fact we're spending 100 million, close to 100 million euros on him, you've got to trust Klopp and our recruitment department. We very, very rarely get it wrong. And if you think of our other big money signings, it's like Alisson, Van Dijk, Luis Diaz with his add-ons. I think that goes like 40 odd million. Jota. So all the players what we've spent decent money on have paid off, and this is going to smash our transfer record, isn't it? But
if it's over 75,
it's 80 odd million pounds, isn't it? Total. So it's going to smash the record. You've got to trust Klopp. You've got to, and I think he's gonna have to be world class coming in for that sort of money. He's got to be.
Yeah, Jen, as usual, appreciate everything that you do for the channel. This will go back into the channel, and we'll produce more content with all of the contributions that we get. But Tino, as Iddy has pointed out here, we've talked a lot about Darwin Nunez on this channel, and I think the vast majority of people, if that I can remember, said for the price tag, it's a massive risk. I think we probably all still stand by that. That's the point. But you can't not be excited when we're signing a new player, especially, the fact that Klopp has been given 100 million to sign him. He clearly rates him, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he certainly does. He said that in plenty of interviews when we played them, when he scored against us. He said that in a couple of interviews that he's a very exciting, very quick, young lad. And without question, without shadow of a doubt, it is a risk. It's a lot of money to pay for a very young guy. But when you look at his stats, you look at what he's achieved, 34 goals in 41 games last season. In his first season in Benfica, he got, I think it was like 12 and 13 in 43 in terms of goals and assists. You look at his stats, you look at what he's done in the big games, and you can't not be excited. He's such a talented young player, and for Liverpool to be spending that amount of money on him clearly shows we mean business, and clearly shows that we are planning long term for without Salah, without Sadio Mane, and how reliant we are on them. He's a very, very, very talented young player. He's got a goal contribution last season of just over, I think it's every 70 minutes, which is an unbelievable stat. And the fact that we've reported of saying business and had bids in already, and when you've got someone like Paul Joyce out there confirming that we are interested in him, it gets me excited. It really gets me excited.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, as Tino said there, I think the exact number is he's got 1.12 goal contributions per 90 minutes for Benfica this season. I feel like it's 26 goals in 28 games, or 24 goals, and no, it's 26 and 28 for Benfica. So Luis Diaz has done amazing since joining the Portuguese league. And we've seen how Portuguese players have adapted to the Premier League in the past. Should we be excited about this guy? Should we be expecting massive things from the get-go?
Look, I had my reservations about him, to be honest, before we signed him. But if Jurgen Klopp's happy to spend 100 million on a striker, believe me, he's done his research on it, and it'll work out a success, mate. If you look at Klopp's track record, even at Dortmund, Lewandowski, Aubameyang, Salah, Mane, Jota, every time I don't want to tempt fate here, but when he signs attacking players, mate, he usually gets it right. And I think the fact that he's happy to make it a record transfer deal. Tells you everything about the transfer. I did have my reservations, but I'm not Jurgen Klopp, and he knows a lot more than me. So I'm putting 100% faith in him, mate. I think obviously Klopp's seen something he really likes to spend that amount of money on him.
Yeah, Matty, I think, we did all have our reservations. So it was probably Darwin Nunez probably wasn't on the top of most people's lists, was he? We've spoke about it here. He's a very raw talent. We saw, and honestly as well, I can say that I've only seen him play twice. At 2 whole 90 minutes, and I think a large majority, probably 98% of Liverpool fans have not seen him play more than 2 games, those 2 games being against Liverpool. But even though he wasn't on the top of our list, he was still high up. And Virgil van Dijk was quoted after the Champions League, comparing him to the likes of Lewandowski and Erling Haaland. He was the second fastest player in the Champions League last season. He's 6'2". I mean, him on the end of Trent Balls next season is going to be something we haven't experienced, because we haven't had a striker since Klopp has took over, have we?
No, and there's Bojack's in the comments saying about like Andy Carroll having good stats back before he came to us. It's Liverpool have learned a lot since FSGs came in. We've learned a lot with our transfers. We had made a few mistakes earlier on, but there's no transfer that I can't think of that's been a success in recent years. Even Takumi Minamino, if we go and sell him for £17 million, you cannot say that transfer was not a success, because the club has made 10 million on him, something like that. So we have learned from transfers, and like Jay said, if Klopp prepared to spend 100 million on him, he's going to be world class. And what we've got to realise this is the first time Liverpool have had an out-and-out attacker since Luis Suarez, in terms of an out-and-out number 9 goal scorer. That's the first time we've had it. So coming in to this side, when you've got the likes of Trent and that pinging balls into you, Thiago pinging balls into you, Robbo, we've been crying out all season for a plan B in these low block sides. And you've got a 6'2" striker coming in, you can just say, stand on that penalty spot there and don't move in this whole 90 minutes against your teams like Chelsea's and stuff like that. If they're going to play low block, it's what we've been needing, and I'm confident with it. I mean, I've only seen him play against us twice, honestly, all season, and he impressed me. And he's coming up against Van Dijk and Tia and Canate. It was in both fixtures, weren't it? That he's coming up against. And if he's impressing, coming up against the best central defender in the world and one of the most promising central defenders in the world, then he's got to be decent.
Yeah, I mean, Tino, Klopp doesn't spend big unless he has to. The only real players we've seen him spend big are Virgil van Dijk and Alisson, 2 players who we, at the time, desperately needed. Clearly, Klopp sees something in Nunez that your average fan on Twitter hasn't seen, doesn't he?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. The fact that he's willing to spend that much money on a player really goes to show how highly he rates him. He's certainly going to do well at the club. He gives us something different, something that we haven't got, as Matt's talked about. Is not just in the air, the 6'2". He's very quick. He's instinctive. He's composed. It allows us to switch up our formation slightly if we want to. We could maybe go to a double pivot with Thiago and Fabinho sitting, maybe as a 4-2-3-1, if I can say that right. He's without a shadow of a doubt a very talented player. And I'm just really excited. You look at him, you look at the big clubs that were interested. Obviously, United aside, you've got Atleti, some of the biggest clubs in the world interested in him. And Jürgen clearly sees the forward line is aging slightly, pushing 30s. We need to switch things up. A couple of players, Sadio, Mo potentially leaving, Bobby pushing 30 as well. He needs to switch it up, and this is a perfect opportunity to do that.
100%. I mean, sort of breaking news, not really, but Neil Jones of Goal, who is fairly reliable, probably one of the best sources for Liverpool news, he's confirmed that Liverpool are prepared to pay a club record fee of more than 75 million to land Darwin Nunez. I think the fact that Liverpool are prepared to pay that pretty much comes to 100 million euros, just a little bit under. I think the fact that Liverpool are prepared to pay that means that it's happening, isn't it, Jay? I mean, there's 6 million, give or take, but I don't think the clubs will be haggling over that much considering it. But going on to the transfer, we've seen it in the past. Liverpool did it with Diogo Jota. We were paying 10 mil a season for him. Do you think that that's how this is going to be? I know 20 mil of it's an installment, which will probably be Liverpool winning the league, appearances and goals for him. But that 80 million, if we can get that in an installment, let's say 20 mil a year for, the span of 4 years or even less. I mean, Julian Ward started off with an absolute masterclass if he can get that out of Benfica, can't he?
Yeah, definitely, mate, especially when you're seeing other clubs are willing to pay 100 million and stuff. I think Liverpool have been clever because what we've done is we've gone to Nunez and he's probably gone back to Benfica now and said, look, I only want Liverpool. So it puts Benfica in a weaker stance then, because even if another club offers more money, the players told you, I'm not asked, I don't want to go there, I want to go Liverpool. So then their hands sort of forced then. So yeah, the way we do transfers now, mate, it's just mad. Like, you don't hear about it and then bang, it's done like that. And I imagine this is going to happen the same way. I wouldn't be surprised if Joyce breaks it tonight at 10, to be honest, 10 o'clock-ish.
Ashley said, name 5 gunmen number 9s in Europe under the age of 23. Haaland, Nunez, then you're struggling. I rather a fee was 60 in total, but this isn't my money, so don't care. Klopp wants him, so I'm on a Nunez train. Matty, that's pretty much it. It's not our money, is it? I mean, Helio asked a really good question. He said, does this change Liverpool's transfer strategy? Because we know the big money signings of Alisson and Van Dijk were both financed by Coutinho. But you could then argue we haven't really spent loads of money in the past 3 years, hasn't it? So it's a hard question what Helio's asked. But going back onto Ashes, you can't really name many under 23 strikers who are tall, pacey, great finishers. It probably is Haaland and Nunez, isn't it?
Yeah, he is built similar to Haaland. I'm not going to come out and say that he's going to be better than Haaland because we all know Haaland's like a freak of nature, to be fair. But if we're paying that much money, he's got to be up there. Like, I've only seen 180 minutes of him, and he impressed me, to be honest with you. I don't think it changes our transfer strategy because I don't think we've actually, by the time Nunez gets over the line, I think we'll pretty much counteract the money we pay for Nunez with the sales of Mane and Takumi Minamino. And then that's not factoring in Nico Williams, Nat Phillips, the Ox, all these outgoings will pretty much pay for Nunez, and his wages will pretty much probably be covered by the Ox's wages. I know Jay said that was earlier in the chat. So it pretty much we're getting Nunez and not breaking into the summer kitty. And we were promised a big summer this year. So I do think Liverpool will probably still go out and buy a central midfielder, whether they spend big on that. If they've been prepared to spend big on Darwin Nunez, why won't they go to Dortmund with 80 mil for Bellingham? Because I think you'd tempt them with that. They may not want to sell him this summer, but if they get an 80 million, then why not?
Yeah. Howdy, it's David. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. Massively appreciated it from everyone who has donated to the stream in the past and in the present. Tino, David said 4-2-3-1, even with Mane sold. The potential lineups are incredible. It's absolutely the right move. And this is something that I was about to cover. The options that an actual striker brings to our team is unbelievable because, as I said before, we didn't have a striker. We were playing Jota, who's a left winger. Mo was up there, who's a right winger. Mane was up there, who's a winger. And, with Fabio Carvalho, and remember, we've still got Roberto Firmino, we can play that 4-2-3-1, which we know Klopp has been dying to play for years. Do you think that is probably going to be the lineup we're going to be starting next season? If maybe he might not push him straight into the lines, but I think that's the lineup that he's probably aiming for with this Nunez signing.
I think going forward, that's a line, that's a formation that we're going to see us transition into. Jurgen Klopp, as you've said, has been dying to try. He's been dying to try and evolve this squad and evolve the way we play to make sure we're not very one-dimensional and that we don't consistently play the same way over the last 3, 4, 5, however many years, to allow clubs to really understand and counteract that. And this is a guy who's certainly, without a shadow of a doubt, going to allow us to evolve and develop the manner and the style in which we play, as well, being that out-and-out number 9. Having said that, though, he is still very versatile. He's not just an out-and-out number 9. If at a push, you could play him out wide if you wanted to still have that 4-3-3 formation that Jurgen Klopp currently is addicted to. It really does allow us limitless options, really. You look at the midfield and how it switches up. Potentially, like I said earlier, a double pivot that leaves Henderson on the bench, who's for the club has done brilliantly. You've got a lot of the young players coming through as well. Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, and the new lad from Fulham, Carvalho. So the way he not only switches up our front line, our attacking line, but also the rest of our team and the manner in which we could play is really, really exciting to see.
Yeah, Jay, it is a very exciting prospect. Going into more of the starting 11, I mean, I personally expect Nunez to come straight into the team, if I'm being honest. What do you think? Again, there's a lot of uncertainties here. Mane's pretty much gone. The Mohamed Salah thing is still up in the air. I think there's still a possibility we could sell him this summer if he does refuse to sign a deal. But more on the starting from 3, or maybe that starting from 4. What do you think is going to be the best option for Klopp when he does come back? And remember, he's got a full preseason with Luis Diaz and Darwin Nunez, which is a scary prospect, isn't it?
I think Nunez will come straight in the 11. You don't spend 80 million, 100 million on a striker and put him on the bench. You just don't do it. I still think we really need a midfielder, and I completely agree with you. I think Salah could still go in the summer, which if he does, then yeah, we definitely need another forward as well, which be exciting as well as scary as losing Mo at the same time. But right now, if you gave me the team, his front 3 would be Diaz, Nunez, Salah, and I'd actually play Jota behind, do the 4-2-3-1, and I'd have Jota in the 10. Or Firmino, either of them can do it. And then Carvalho can play there as well, to be fair. So you've got loads of options.